Fun Corner. Tonight I'm making chicken fried steak. I wanted to film it so you guys could see. I've already fried some okra. I've got it staying warm in the oven, and I'm just going to use the skillet that I've got here. I've also got some smashed potatoes. You can use mashed potatoes or creamed potatoes or whatever your favorite potatoes are. I've got some round steak that's been run through the tenderizer. If your steak hasn't been tenderized, you can pound it, and that's what my grandmother used to do. Have to pound it herself. But this has been tenderized, so I've cut it into small pieces. There are chicken fried steaks in Texas, certain Texas restaurants that are huge. It's a whole round steak basically, and so it falls off the edges of the plates, and it's kind of a calling card for certain restaurants to be able to go there and have the biggest chicken fried steak. And those are great. But for here at home, it makes a lot more sense for us to have it in small pieces. And in fact, my one of my grandmothers, when she made it almost made steak fingers. She cut it into very, very small pieces. But we're going to have just about enough for a serving. Now, I'm going to start with getting my oil warm. You can use whatever your favorite oil is. I've got about maybe a ½ an inch in the bottom of the skillet there. I'm dredging my my meat first in my seasoned flour. It's seasoned with just some salt and pepper. Then I'm going to put it into an egg and milk wash, and then back into the flour. When my grease gets hot, I'll put it in there. Pretty easy. I'm using milk in the egg wash, because I don't want any of the batter to get crispy. You want it to have a tenderness that the milk will give it in the egg wash. I'll be using this same flour a little bit later for my to make my gravy with too. We don't eat big, heavy dinners like this, or suppers like this very often, but once in a while it's really nice to have all the different courses and all the different dishes together. Sizzling good, so here we go. Don't want it too high. It needs to cook the meat, but not too quickly. Don't want it to be rare. It needs to be cooked all the way through. A breaded cutlet is not a chicken fried steak. You'll find some restaurants in other states that'll use a frozen breaded cutlet. Those are tasty and they're very good with gravy on them. But to be a true chicken fried steak, the word chicken fried steak comes from the way we used to fry chicken. It means nothing more than that. It means that the steak is put into the same batter that you would have used for chicken. So now it's hilarious when sometimes I'll see on a menu chicken fried chicken. But they're meaning that they're doing it this old-fashioned way where they dip it in the egg wash in the flour before they fry it up. We had a wonderful rain the last couple of days. It's been so nice. It's beautiful outdoors. Got a good start on the winter months. Give everything a good drink before it gets cold. I've got my oven warmed up and a pan sitting in there with my cooked okra in it. This is probably going to take maybe 5 minutes per side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera off, and then I'll come back when it's done. Thank you. Okay, I'm back. These have fried up nicely. Now I'm going to take them out. I'm going to put them in the oven to stay warm. Rather than waste my egg wash here, I'm going to make some corn fritters with some of my leftover flour and my egg wash. And I'm also going to add you may have remembered when I did my fried okra video that I said I saved my cornmeal in a bag in the freezer, and then I just use it to dredge the okra the next time. But we're at the end of the season now, so I kind of need to go ahead and use that and get that out of the way, out of the freezer. So I'm going to use it in some, to make some corn fritters. I'm not going to add any salt because there's already salt in the seasoned flour, but I need to add some baking powder. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Mix that up. Okay, this is just my milk and egg wash that I had left over. Pouring my cornmeal in here. And it doesn't matter how much you have left, because what you're going to do is, if you don't have that much cornmeal, you just make it up with flour. Lots of times corn fritters won't have any cornmeal at all in them. I've drained a can of whole kernel corn. You can also use cream style corn in these. My grandmother always made hers with cream style corn, especially if you're making them from scratch. Then you can use that for part of your liquid, so you wouldn't drain the cream style. Now I'm going to add, I keep a bay leaf in my flour, and that keeps weevils out. You'll never have weevils if you have bay leaves in your flour. Just keep everything in containers that are closed up that have bay leaves in them. Let's add a little bit more. I need some of this flour to make my gravy with, but I don't need a whole lot. So I'm just basically making a thick mixture here that I can spoon into the hot grease. That looks just about right. Get me a spoon to get that out with. Here we go. So in this way, we're using everything. We're not wasting anything. I don't like to be wasteful in anything that I do. There's just no sense in it. There's no reason to be. If you've ever worked in a restaurant, you know they're big on maintaining food quality, but they try to use the same kinds of ingredients for many different dishes so that you don't have things going to waste from lack of use. I love corn fritters. You could even have, there were times that we would have corn fritters, and that would be our supper. We didn't always have meat. In fact, we often didn't have meat but for breakfast and for well, what was called dinner back then was the lunch was the main meal. My grandparents were old-timey people, and their big meal was at the middle of the day. For supper, we either had leftovers from dinner, or something simple like this, like some corn fritters, or maybe some fried potatoes and gravy, things like that. Let these fry here. One thing you have to watch for a little bit with corn fritters is they will pop. So you do have to kind of be careful. Be careful there. Keep your little children kind of away when you're making the fritters. Little children need to kind of keep their distance when things are being fried. You don't want grease to pop on them. And I know when I was little, I pulled a skillet of grease off on all down my leg, burnt myself pretty badly, but so I learned to be careful about it. You'll notice I keep my handles up where I'm not going to run into them. Okay, they just need to brown on the back, and they'll almost be like I don't know if you can see this. It's almost like cooking pancakes. They'll start to have bubbles come up in the dough, and when those bubbles start breaking, you know it's time to turn them. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and finish frying up the rest of these, and then I'll be back. Get there from here. Okay, I'm back. I've taken the rest of the, just took the rest of the fritters out. I'll show you one really quick. See how pretty those are? And it's nice and dry and tender inside. You want to have your grease pretty warm when you're, as you can tell, when you're cooking those. I had to add a little bit more fat to them, but now I'm going to make my gravy with what's left in the pan. I don't need a whole lot. It's just me and Paul, so we don't need a whole lot of gravy tonight. We just need just a little bit. You want to let your flour cook in your grease just a little bit, otherwise you'll have an uncooked taste. And I'm using a whisk, and that way I don't have lumps in my gravy. I'm using diluted canned milk because we don't drink much milk, so I only use it in cooking. And I found that this is less wasteful for me. You could also use powdered milk. You can even use, what they call sawmill gravy is just what my grandmother always called water gravy, and we didn't ever have that. But you can make a white gravy with just water and flour and grease if you want. See, it was pretty hot, even without it being turned on. It's already it's cooking pretty good. So I'm gonna turn the heat back on. So I've used everything. I've used everything tonight in what I've cooked, except for about a half a cup of flour. And I probably could have fit that half cup into the corn fritters if I had been judicious. But that's all that I'm going to have left. Everything else is has been used. No waste of my fats. No waste of my flours or my dredging mixtures. So everything got used and nothing got wasted. I used to always make mashed potatoes, creamed potatoes. But when I discovered that Paul likes the peelings, I've gone to just smashed potatoes, and they're so much more versatile. When I have leftovers, I can do a lot more with them. And one of these times, I'll show you one of those things. So all I'll do is I boil my potatoes, and then I just drain them and I mash them with butter. I add some salt, but I don't add any milk to them. And so that's what we'll have tonight. Okay, I'm gonna get a plate set up and be back and show you the end result here. Okay, I'm back. All right, here we go. This is our final plate. See if I can get you a nice close up here. Isn't that pretty? So I hope you'll enjoy it. Thank you.